there's a baby at the door. I know women like her.
Come at me talking about some I like loose women. That is not the case.
What's the say, Tati? It's your girl Tati, back at another video. In this video, we have a book swap with none other than the Ronald. And we are going to be talking about Tumbling. So it won't show, but y'all saw it in the thumbnail. So let's get into it. So what made me get this book is, I don't even remember what made me get this book. I got this book a while ago. I was just on good old thrift books. If y'all have thrift books, y'all need to get it because I love thrift books. And this came up, and when I read it, it was really interesting when I read the what you call it. I haven't read it lately, but basically I got two of her books actually. But this was the one that I picked just because this one seemed interesting. It's set in South Philadelphia. They have an interesting relationship going on. And because of based of how it was set up, I was like, let me just get into this because I feel like this is gonna be. I just really felt like it was gonna be a really good book. And your girl, she kind of didn't. She didn't disappoint.
It didn't disappoint at all. So before we get into the video, we got some things to run through. First, I want to let y'all know that we are going to be going all through the plot. So that means we're going to be spoiling it. So if you don't want to be spoiled, thanks for tuning in up to this point. But feel free to go ahead and click off the video here. And if you decide that you want to come back and see what we talked about after you read the book, then feel free to come back. I think there's also like a attempted
There's some
self-harm.
violence. Yeah, there's some violence in there. Not just even with that. There's just some violent elements in here, and there are some elements of sexual assault. So, that's just a trigger warning, just to let you guys know, because this is set in South of Philadelphia in like the 1950s, I think. And it is a really interesting story. So for the first half, I'm kind of breaking it into two parts when we talk about the book. The first half is mainly focused on the adults, which are Noon, Herbie, and Ethel. And then the second half, we're going to focus more on the kids in it as well. But just to start off, this book starts off, how I say, South Philadelphia, and we start with the couple Noon and Herbie. Noon is a beautiful, loving church girl who married Herbie, who used to be like a jazz player, but he stopped, but he still be in the streets. And the book starts off with him in the streets, right? And then next thing you know, there's a baby at the door. He comes home, he drunk, and there's a baby at his front door. Now we are all a little bit confused on where this baby then came from.
I wasn't
Herbie not even
confused.
caring about the baby, honestly, because he have a woman on his mind that he just missed, who is Ethel, and that's who he looking out for, even though his wife is upstairs. And when he come in the house, do he call Ethel? No, he calls his wife Noon. So Noon is happy because she can't have. Now this is the tricky part, because we not sure what's going on with Noon. We not even sure if she can't have kids. We just know she don't like physical touch. Her and Herbie have never been intimate. They have been married for almost a year, and they have never been intimate. But he's excited for the baby eventually because he feels like maybe she'll warm up. I don't know what about a baby will make a woman want to warm up to him, but that's how he felt. And Noon is really excited. But Noon is she look at the baby, she look at Herbie. She look at the baby, she look at Herbie. She's like, I see something here. But she just let it fly by because I'm pretty sure they're two different colors, if I'm not mistaken.
All I know is when I was reading it, I pictured them as having the same skin tone because I wasn't confused where this baby came from. I knew from chapter one where the baby came from because when like you broke it down and explained, I'm when you said a baby was on the doorstep, I'm like, don't nobody just leave no random baby on somebody's random doorstep. And then as soon as they start talking about Ethel, I was like, yep, this Ethel's baby. She left it on Herbie's doorstep because Herbie's the dad.
Because
Now, how long we gotta wait until they figure this out?
because Miss Ma'am went missing About 9 months. Yeah, she went missing
Mhm.
around the time matches up when she went missing. Because when this story starts, and this is the reason why I was saying she doesn't really care about Herbie was worried about Ethel is because Ethel has been missing for around 10 months to a year at this point. And she's like a nice singer, and he's into music as well. So she's like a singer. They have their little time together, but he's also, he loves the musical touch that she has, and just the touch that she has on men or whatever. And so that's his choice. Now, he was playing with her in bands before, but then when he met Noon, he was supposed to get right, and he felt like he was gonna get right. But when Ethel came back around, he couldn't stay away from her. And it's not just he couldn't stay away from Ethel. It doesn't help that Noon, they've never been physical at all, ever. And he thought it was just because she's a church girl, she gonna warm up. It never happened. And in the book, they kind of give you a little bit of a hint from it, but she keeps saying, like, basically she's dead inside. She's like, she's been tainted. And the thing is, we're at this point, you're not sure if it's physical. Like, we don't know what she means by that, by her inside is rotten. And she basically goes to church very often, always going to church. She's in church trying to get some type of healing from what she's experiencing. And so, Ronald said, we're not confused on where the baby came from, but they accepted the baby or whatever, and they get a birth. They called it because they ended up, Noon is like, this is a blessing. The Reverend said it's a blessing. We're gonna get this birth certificate. This is our baby, okay? And they named her
Mhm.
Fanny. That's the baby we were talking about. They named her Fanny. So we have Fanny. And then fast forward to this is part 2 in the book, but fast forward a little bit. It's about 5 years later. Fanny is a little bit older. Herbie loves him some Fanny. He's still messing around with Ethel. And Ethel has this master plan. I don't think we got Ethel's point at this point to confirm or deny the relations between Franny and Herbie and all of that type of stuff, right? But with Ethel, what we learn is right now she's taking care of her 5-year-old niece who happens to be the same age as Franny, basically, right? And Ethel basically gets this master plan of how she's gonna make Franny and her niece Liz, she gonna make them friends. So she come by, and Noon is like, who is this heathen at my doorstep? I know women like her, and I don't need no woman like her around when it's time for my man to come home. So she trying to make this happen, and Ethel is like, listen, y'all, she is a good girl. Y'all's gonna be friends. And Noon is like, it's okay. My daughter has enough friends. We don't need no more friends. Meanwhile, Franny is like, what's up? Like, she see Ethel, she like, oh, she see Liz, she is involved. She like, what's going on? She is happy. But Noon is like, nah, I know those type of women not gonna help him. So then Ethel gets Liz ready basically, and she basically does the dash. Does the dash. Leave Liz on that doorstep with her clothes, and she leave. And Noon is like, I knew that was an evil woman. I knew that was an evil woman right there. And Franny's like, I like her. I like that. I like her. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I thought she was cool. So then Herbie get home. Because this baby number 2 left on his doorstep at this point. Oh, he heated. But you know why he heated? He look at Liz, Liz look at him. They know how they know each other. Them two, they know the common denominator. Everybody else in the room blind. But Liz didn't see his face before in the nighttime at somebody's house. And he has seen her face because he's like, it's been days where he couldn't come over because Ethel's like, oh, Liz is there. So he like, oh, I know this is a lie. He said, this baby got to go. You know how the first baby could say? He said, no, this girl got to go. He was so mad. And the thing that also made him mad, he said, is that just seeing her face reminded him of Ethel. Like, not like seeing her reminding him of Ethel, but then he kept thinking about the times he couldn't see her. He was so mad. But where's she gonna go? Like, she didn't move nowhere. I think she ended up like being herself at the front door. Like she would throw up or something like that. Like she couldn't hold herself together because she just could not imagine that her auntie would leave her on some random people doorstep. Like the only person she had would leave her on some random person doorstep. So she is just, and she don't talk to nobody, but especially when her be in the room, they don't like each other. And she never tells, he's not sure that she knows him, but she's sure that she knows him. He's like, I don't know if she know who I am, but she definitely knows who he is, and she knows that he knows who she is. So she already scared of him because she like, and she's like, I know this man because I seen him and I heard him around my auntie. So she even more creeped out. And at this point, it's like, okay, well, the baby 5, we gotta put her in school. Noon is trying to get the paperwork done. And there's a lady, the next door neighbor, that got on my nerves. She will not be named because this lady was like, Noon think
What her name, like Betty or something?
she think, yeah, something like that. Oh, Noon think she better than me. She coming in here thinking she better than me. Who told you that? And so she like, I know what y'all did with that first baby. You're not doing it with this baby. This girl better have a birth certificate because you're not her mama. Okay. And she literally sent the police there to check them out, I think. But whether she sent the police there or not, the police come to check because the girl ain't been going to school. It's a girl there. She ain't going to school. She ain't doing nothing. So this is where we start getting a sense of their personalities because the police officer asked what their parents said. Franny said, they not here. That's none of your business. They not here. That's and so the police officer is like, girl, let me inside. She like, no, my parents is not here. He like, let me inside. She said, I'm gonna let you inside. All right. She let him inside and lock him like in downstairs. I think she like, my parents downstairs, they in the basement and lock him in the basement. Her mama come home to an officer in the basement. Going, he is so mad. He's like, y'all better get that girl and y'all better get her together. And of course, Herbie is like, she ain't do nothing wrong. But basically, they find out, okay, we gotta get Ethel to sign over the rights because this girl gotta get in school, or whatever's gonna happen, she gonna go to foster care. So Herbie take it amongst himself. He take it upon himself to go hunt her down, for her niece apparently, and he get beat up in the process. Yeah, he go and he get beat up in the process because Ethel already know his game and she already be having people prepared to distract him. But not only did she have somebody prepared to distract him, but he decided to sneak backstage. Security guard found him. Bop, bop, bop. That was it. Kicked him out to the street. And they're like, why? It's because they need, but I think he at least left the message for Ethel. So we go fast forward. Ethel come down to town. And I probably said this in another video, but it was a glamorous Sula. I don't know. That's what it reminded me of coming to town. Cause everybody's like, this cannot be her. She came, she looked so beautiful. She ended up being a big star, having a lot of money. And she signed over her rights because she felt like Noon would be a much better mother and a much better person because she technically got the baby mother. But so she signed over her rights, and baby girl Liz cannot believe it. She said, that's not my auntie. I don't know who that person is dressed up like my auntie, but that's not my auntie because my auntie wouldn't get rid of me. Like, that's not my auntie.
Fanny and Ethel were my favorite characters in this book. Like, Fanny was my favorite to the part that I was just thinking about this the other day. I was like, dang, I should have have you seen my video, like my year-end video, where I like talked about my favorite books and favorite characters and stuff like that?
I think I
And
have,
like my
yeah.
favorite characters. I was like, dang, I should have put Fanny in favorite supporting character. Because she was literally like my favorite character in this book.
She ate that up.
Fanny and Ethel were like my favorites. Like Fanny was just so real and authentic. She didn't care about nothing else about except being herself. And then Ethel, I listen. For all of my saints who gonna watch this video, don't come at me talking about some I like loose women. That is not the case. That is not the case. It's just I just like that archetype. You know that archetype.
Women are based two different, are either in a lot of books, you're either a Noon or you're Ethel. You're either what's her name?
A nail or
Yeah,
Sula.
Nail. or you a Sula. Like in a lot of these books, that's what it is. Like you either, or even how Janie was, you either a young Janie or you are older
Or
Janie.
older
Like
Jane.
that's it. Either you
It's
this
just
quiet, like girl, man, don't really have a lot. Even if you look at the girls, you either like really like a Liz or
or a
you like a
Franny.
Franny. Because while you might see when we start talking about Liz more a little bit more, while you might think Liz is kind of reminding me of her, Liz gives me a little bit more of her aunt. No, when you really think about their characters, Liz is not like her aunt. Liz is not like Ethel. Franny is definitely more like Ethel because the thing about Franny and the thing about Ethel that they have in line is that they're themselves, and that's the thing of how those characters, they might, a lot of times they are considered loose women or the wild women, the crazy women, but they're really the women who are authentically themselves, good, bad, or ugly. Then you have the women in this book, on the other hand, like Noon or like Liz, who are not themselves. And whether they are on the good side of it, where you might think they're a saint or they're not a saint, whatever you might feel about it, there's always a part of them that's like reserved and where they're not really being their truest self. With Ethel, Ethel is a star, basically. She's that archetype. She's a star. She went on to become a star and do what she wanted to do. And I actually, as we talk about more of what Ethel did, she's really commendable. Her role is necessary. She's very honest. And the thing that I like about Ethel too is some people, she knows, and that's the role she kind of plays with Herbie. And when you see her throughout this whole thing, she knows how to take care of people, how to be good to people to a certain extent. It's sort of like she's a band-aid. And when, sometimes a wound can no longer have a band-aid. You need something better. Either you healed or you need something more. You need to go to an actual hospital. And the thing that I also do like about Ethel though is when she realized like I'm not any good for you, this neosporin that I'm putting down is not working, she skedaddles. She tried. That's what happened with Liz. Basically, it's like I'm here. I got you. I'm doing as much as I can as your auntie, but I see this person that could actually be a mother to you. Cause me, I'm trying to be a star. I'm gonna go push you this way. And even when she comes up in the story later on, y'all will see that of her kind of being a band-aid. I won't say like she really fixes problems or so like, but she does know how to soothe a situation.
I like Ethel's character for why you said, not because, like I said, not because she's a loose woman. Don't do that. But because like you said, she's real. Like she's authentic. Like what I mean by like that archetype is like it's a lot of books, especially like black fiction, especially black fiction set back in the day. It's always that one woman character, and they always tend to look the same. They always tend to be light skinned, very
Mm-hmm.
pretty. I tend to picture them in red a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, like it's always like they've lived their life, and now it's like, okay, I'm past my prime. What am I gonna do with my life now? And I just really like those characters because it's like I did what I wanted to do, but now I got to figure out what I'm finna do because my life still ain't over yet. I still got to go on. Like, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna get saved? Am I not gonna get saved? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to say I did like all the characters, even Herbie. I did like all of them. Um, as far as Noon goes, I don't know if we got there yet, but like I was a little scared that Noon was gonna end up cheating with the Reverend. I was like, Noon, please
Baby,
don't do it.
listen, I was a little bit scared too. Since we talking about, let's talk about it because and we got a little bit of the Reverend perspective too in this because she been going to the Reverend for years, and the Reverend's like, man,
Hmm.
that man Herbie don't know what to do with a good woman like Noon. Because if I was with her, she wouldn't be dead on the inside. Let me tell you that much. If I was with
Hmm.
her.
He was doing all of that, and then like it was that one moment when they was at the altar praying. Now y'all know, I'm a Christian. Y'all know I believe in God. Y'all know I be on my knees praying every day. When they was down there praying, I was like, is this supposed to be like an actual prayer or like is he scamming her to like try and get in her draws? Like what's going on? Like
But he was
I didn't.
actually, it wasn't one of those. He was actually a good reverend. Like the reverend in this book was
Yeah.
actually a good reverend. He was really there with her, like praying over her, everything. Like it wasn't like that. He was good. He was really good to her. We're gonna get to the other part, but as Noon and not as Noon, as Franny and Liz are growing up, they becoming how they becoming, but everybody know their lifestyle. So there's a certain point in the book where Brandy again shows her behind because some little girl decides to call to try to talk about Liz auntie and say, your auntie Ethel is a, and Franny said, excuse me? And the girl's like, I ain't gonna tell you. It's Liz, yo, auntie is a, oh baby, Franny wasn't having that. Franny wasn't having that. Franny was not, so much so that her, now mind you, this is the same little girl who auntie is the other, who mama is the neighbor. So yeah, she already on something or whatever. And baby, Franny got to her and Herbie had to go calm the auntie, calm her mama down because her mama was gonna press charges. And Herbie's like, ugh. But when we get to that scene, we see what she really wants. And really, she want to be with Herbie. And Herbie's like, okay, I'm gonna do this with you right now so that my daughter don't go to jail, but never again. Cause he said it's only 3 women that know me. That's my mama, she dead. That's Ethel, she gone, and that's Noom. They're my only women. You not one of them. I just don't want my daughter to go to jail. And so they start growing up, and as they're growing up, Franny has this ability where she gets like visions, kind of. Franny gets visions, and sometimes they really like, they are a little scary for her sometimes. So she don't really always like them. And that's going to be something that comes up within the story. And so a big part of the story as they're growing up is they're growing up as regular teenagers. They best friends. They're like this. They start liking boys. Liz is a little bit fast, so she likes an older boy called, I forgot what his name is, Carl or something, but he works at the same place that Herbie be going to. Y'all know how men, they got their little spot where they go drinking and stuff like that. That boy basically works there. And Liz really likes him and she has a little crush on him. So she be going there, sneaking out to go into that place to see him or whatever. There's a company trying to buy the church, right? And there's a boy, that same boy that Liz likes, he is really championing this project, saying how they need to sell the church and all that other type of stuff. Like he's really, really, really championing this project. And because it's a lot of stuff going on to where like they're buying up the area. So at this time, they're buying, like, people are basically they giving them money. They trying to gentrify. They getting people out their houses. And nobody really knows why. And the boy is like, just sell the houses. He's like on the developer side. He's telling them, just sell the houses is a good opportunity for everybody. But while this is happening, they in church one day and they're talking about it. And Franny's like, it's a highway in the middle of church. Everybody like, what this girl did. I told y'all it was something about this girl going on with her. And she's like, no, y'all, I seen a highway. It is a highway, right? They are building a highway. And what she pictures is a highway.
It was a highway, yeah. But we did leave out a huge part of Liz's character. Liz likes to eat the wall. That's a huge part of her character. That's how she like copes with life. She breaks off pieces of the wall and eats them. She's been doing that since she was a little kid, since she was living with Ethel. Like one day she found a hole in Ethel's wall. She just started eating the wall.
But it got worse to where she started getting sick. That's why she was, y'all know how it was like, she's so scared, she throwing up and all that. It was because she was eating the wall. It wasn't just because of that. It's because she was literally eating the wall. Franny doesn't know this at first. Franny does not know this at first. And when she find out, she is like, girl, what is going on?
That's the scene that solidified Fanny being one of my favorites. Cause when Liz moved in with Herbie and them, she started eating the wall in like the hall closet. So like she would run in there and like sit in the dark and she just be eating the wall. And like she would be stacking up like stuff to hide it. And so they just assumed like that was just like her little hiding place. Like she would just go in there to hide and they just leave her be. So one day, Fanny goes in there because she needs Liz for something. But she go in there and she catch Liz covered in wall dust, wall in her hand, and she like, I cannot believe you was in here eating the wall. Like, girl, that is, it was just, it had me cracking up. Like, That solidified Fanny is my favorite because that girl would be like, I cannot believe you are in here eating the wall. And like it wasn't like no little like itty like she had eaten the wall. Like it was a huge hole
And she was like, don't
that
tell
she was
nobody.
trying to cover.
Franny's like, don't
And
tell
Fanny's like,
nobody.
girl, you done ate the wall.
The thing I would back up to that I absolutely love about Franny is that Franny is wherever, I promise you, the stuff you be thinking in the book, Franny is the person that said it. Franny, whenever the stuff happens,
Mhm.
Franny is the person that's like, anything. And the thing is, Franny has always been like that. So like throughout the book, when somebody need to get called out, best believe Franny gonna read them one time or another. So yeah, y'all, that is Franny. And Franny is telling the truth when she talking about this church scene as well. She's like, listen, it's a highway. I see it. I saw it. I see it. She was really shooken up about it because where everybody's houses is a freaking highway. That's what she's seeing. And the boy tries to play it off like, ooh, she crazy, even though he know it's a highway. And the reverend is like, he don't know. He just allowing the people to speak. Like he don't know what it is, if it's a highway or not. And they're saying that it's not a highway. They are saying that, listen, it just is what it is. And so they put it, so Noon kind of spearheads this project with like a friend of hers, where they're like trying to make sure that people don't sell, they keep their houses. And Noon, this is really important to Noon because she's like, my baby saw a highway, they're building a highway. I don't care what they say, and they're building a highway. And while all this is happening, Herbie is still dead inside, okay? And the girls are becoming adults. And so then as they're becoming adults, one of the gifts that ends up happening on accident is, as time goes on, people get older, money starts happening, people losing money and stuff like that. They offer the other lady who was spearheading the project, they offer her house to pay for her house. Now that lady needs to go take care of some stuff back home in the South anyways, so she sells her house. And they're like, okay. So she tells them that, like, she needs to sell her house. Like, the lady needs to sell her house. They're like, okay. So they're thinking, oh, she's selling it to the company. No. Noon is like, yeah, Liz, you're gonna buy the house. Liz is like, how am I going to buy a house? And so that's when we find out that Ethel has been sending money for Liz. So even though Herbie has been working and they've been using Herbie's check for all of Liz's supplies, like everything, all of Liz's stuff. She's been saving that money for Liz for college or for her to buy a house basically. So she used that money to buy a house for Liz. So Liz and Franny move into the house and they are older and they end up being roommates and they're going to college. Franny at this point has a boyfriend. Liz is still messing with that boy that's too old to be messing with her. And everything is not good because at this point, Franny's going to school and stuff, and Liz is supposed to be going to school, but Liz gets this job at a really like cool boutique. And Liz is basically at that boutique. She got a car. She's spending up the bill. She don't got the money to pay for it. So she's having to work doubles, and she's not even really in school at this time while she has the house. Mind you, she's shacking up and sleeping with the boy that's too old to be with her. And while all this is going on, now we talked about the house. Let's talk about something else that's going on. That's a dynamic in this family. Y'all know how Herbie and Liz got that little thing that they don't like each other. Franny notices that, and she's like, "Baby, Dad, you need to be nicer to Liz because that's your daughter too." In his head, he's like, "That ain't my daughter," and they both know why. But that's a whole thing that has been building up, and you sort of start seeing a weird kind of silent animosity that Liz starts having towards Franny. And this little boy has also gotten her head because she just loves, that's her man, her man, her man, her man. She loves him, okay? And so they end up, this is where the book really starts to take off. This is where the book really starts to take off. because Herbie goes to talk to her to have like one of those dad talks, especially since I think he had talked to Franny, or he had noticed that he noticed that the guy, I think his name is Carl or something like that, was around Liz, and he just didn't feel comfortable with that. So he talked to her and he said,
The guy's name is Willie.
it's Willie. I'm talking about Carl. The boy name is Willie. But let me tell you what ended up happening, y'all. At this point, they set fire to the ring. At this point, they set fire to the ring because Liz lets Herbie know, I ain't never been your daughter. You ain't never treated me like your daughter. And guess what? I'm sold this house. Herbie's like, oh, nobody likes me, so I'm gonna sell the house. Like, what kind of sense does that make? That's literally what he told her. That's legit what that man told her. He's like, so because somebody doesn't like you, you're gonna break the person who raised you heart. She's like, I didn't buy this house. It's anybody can sell. Like, it's time. Y'all need to sell. Like, why is y'all doing all of this? And he is just like, he done with her at that point. And when Franny comes inside, Franny thinks that like, she thinks that they just beefing because they just don't like each other type of thing, because they never liked each other. She doesn't know that her sister has sold this house. The mom doesn't know either, because Herbie's like, I'm not telling her. That's you gonna tell her. But it's just really crazy. And she sold this house for this boy, basically. Not for him, but because of him.
Not even this boy, this man, because Willie is 30.
He's a
He
man
like
at this
15
point.
years older than her.
He was a kid when they were younger, but by the time she's 18, he's an adult by that time. And the
And he's
thing that
not
also
like,
is,
he's not interested in her like that.
no, he's just using her, to be honest, because she's young. And not only is he using her, but he knows Ethel. Not only does he know Ethel because he helped Ethel out that night, like he helped Ethel out that night. I don't think she knows about this, but all of the nights he knows, him and Ethel like this, like he helped her out a lot of times, and he is actually still in contact with Ethel. That's the thing. Like, he is literally still in contact with Ethel, which
That's
is
actually how
so.
Ethel is able to keep track of what's going on with Liz. It's through him.
Mm-hmm. And so he's sending her pictures. It's like you sending her pictures of these little girls, or both of them. He's sending her pictures of these little girls and stuff, like, you watch them grow up. And I think that's also why he's not really interested. But another part of why the dynamic switched, because she had been with Franny all that time. So why you all of a sudden not liking her? Well, really what also happened is, while they were at a party, she noticed he was looking at Franny a little too much. And she like, hold up. And Franny don't even like him, so I don't know why she got so crazy about it. But she was just like, he was looking at Franny too much. So that is happening. And so while all of this is happening, y'all, Ethel is making her plan to come back to town. And she talking to Willie about it. She like, what's going on? Give me the tea. Because at this point, she is ready to come back to town. And Franny ends up, she's ready to come back to town. Noon is leaving. Noon and Herbie are leaving, though. They're going to Florida. So they're going to go to Florida for a couple of weeks. And
Which is where Noon is from.
which is where Noon is from, where we're going to really get her backstory. And that's also where they met. And during this time, y'all, oh baby, stuff just hit the fan. Stuff just hits the van. Let me tell y'all, the first thing that happened that really frustrated me is Franny has a vision that she and Willie have a thing. I almost threw the book, and I said, why? Yeah. Why you had to do my girl like that? And I understand the concept of nobody's innocent, but still, in this, she low-key is still innocent because you made her do it. But she's not really innocent. But it was really like annoying. And she goes through this whole thing where she's really trying to fight it, because it scares the mess out of her. Because, she been having these, usually when she have the visions, they come true. So it's been scaring her. And she talks to her neighbor, the neighbor that I think her name, let me not get her name wrong. But she talks to the neighbor that house they bought. And the neighbor is like, listen, you need to face your fears. So you need to go down there and tell him firsthand, you're not scared of him. Face your fears. She take the neighbor advice. She go down there.
Go down in that man basement.
And I basically almost cry. Because why do we have to do that? How did that advance us in any way? Because she still is the most likable character, and she still didn't like. I don't know. I don't know if it was supposed to be. That really just made me mad. That was the word. That was the part that just made me mad. Because why would you do that to Freddie? Why would you do that to her? But it's okay because he gonna get his, and I'm gonna tell y'all how he gonna get his. I'm saying it like he did it, like he wrote the book. He didn't. He did not write the book. But that's neither here nor there. Now, y'all.
Now I just want to make like something clear. When you said, why did you make her do that? It's not him. That's not what she meant.
Oh no! It's not him that made her do it.
She meant the
I'm talking
author.
about Diane.
She meant the author. She like, why did you make Fanny go in there
Yeah,
as an author?
I'm talking about Diane because
In the
honestly,
in
what
the
ends up
actual
happening.
situation, they both consented.
What actually ends up happening is she goes down there and she's like, I'm not scared of you. And she tells him what happens. And he realizes that it's more like she begging him like not to do it than her actually standing on her own 2 feet, not doing it. You get what I'm saying? And of course, he thinks she cute. He actually does think she's cute. So he like, I hear what you're saying. And they end up doing the do. But the thing is, she never finds out about it. She was already jealous before then, and she never finds out about it. So it's not even a thing. Like, I don't even understand why it had to happen because nobody finds out about it. Now, while they are gone, while they're down south, they're kind of rekindling. She goes talk to her mom about everything. They're like trying to, rekindle and stuff. And that's when we find out what really happened to Noon. That's when we find out why she says she's dead inside and stuff. That's when the trigger starts happening. And basically, when she was younger, she went for a walk. Like she just went for it. She was in, the country of Florida. She went for a walk and she got snatched up. And when
Now,
she
just to like, before you go any further, let's like give some background on Noon. Noon is a preacher's kid. Her daddy is a pastor. So she's growing up in the church. She got like all these brothers. So like she's not an only child.
and she was very sheltered, so she wasn't expecting what happened to her. And
Mhm.
because she had literally, she's like, I didn't even really go down the road. She literally just went for a walk and she got snatched up, and a gang of people assaulted her. And since then, she's like, my body's just cold. Like, she cannot engage in any of that activity because of that. Like, even though she loves Herbie so much and she tries and she wants to. And so she goes down to talk to her mom to really, like, you know, she just trying to, she feels like the South, being in the South will help her and will help bring her back. While she gone, baby, them kids up north acting the fool. Now, not only is they acting the fool, but the developer. Y'all know how I told y'all that company was talking to the preacher and stuff about everything. And did not, the preacher wasn't like, oh, y'all say y'all how, he wasn't on none of that. But he was like, okay, I will let y'all talk to the people. That's all he did. He let them talk to the people. And that's when Franny did her big one, talk about some, yeah, they trying to do a
It's a
highway.
highway.
And so um the developers decide, you know what, it's that church, because y'all know the church is the center of the Black, especially in that time, but the church is the center of the Black community. It's the church. It's like, you
Mhm.
tear down the church, we're gonna get all the other people. Like, that's a pillar of faith, so that's all we need to do is get the church. And so they decide to tear down the church. They decide to go to the city, consider it condemned, and to tear it down.
Keep in mind that church was nowhere near condemned. They was in that church faithfully cleaning it, cooking in there. Like that was their hangout spot. It was up to date. It was fresh. It was everything. Wasn't nothing wrong with that church.
The developer is like, listen, don't do the church. Like, we could do anything else. I will get people to sell. It's not that big of a deal, bro. Just, but like, don't tear down the church. Like, take that out. And when they refused, He literally stepped down. So he stepped down like the day before they decided to go after the church. And so they decide to go after the church.
Because I
Y'all,
could just imagine, I'm just
her
imagining coming home from a nice trip. We done rekindled, we good. And it's like I'm refreshed, I'm renewed, I'm ready to get back into my life. And y'all know Noon, she lived in the church basically. She lived in the church. And coming from a life where I basically also live in the church, have since a little kid, I can't just imagine just coming home and finding my church, my place of comfort that the Lord blessed us with.
gone, the place that she had been fighting for. And she literally just screamed. She was like, she could not. Because I'm saying, this is why I love Noon, because her character had grown so much. She had been a mama, she had been in that church, she had done so many things. And it's like, now, what is like, because the thing is, you're not just taking a
And
building from people.
and I think we need to like really clarify and really like explain how much this church meant to Noon. Like Noon was the only person by this point in the story who was still fighting the developers. Like it was basically her and Fanny, and that was it. Like everybody else had basically given up and was like, let them do what they want. But Noon and Fanny was like, nah, they can't have this.
That-
Like she was literally the only person fighting to keep that church at this point.
And
And
they
it's just the way
said,
that it happened too. It's like she came back and was like, where is my church?
but they saw that
All
boy,
she, all she saw was rubble.
and guess what them folks saw? Weapons, because they saw that boy, they said, oh, it's your fault. You was in cahoots with these developers, wasn't you? Bop. Somebody threw that rock right at him. And he felt, and then even at that point, he felt bad because he's like, dang, this is what I was a part of. I was a part of this. I had that so much so that he sold his own grandmother's house. He got his own grandma to sell her house.
Just clarify, these happened at two separate times. They hit him with the rocks first, like right after it happened.
Yes, right after it
And then
happened.
like the next day, Noon came back
Mm-hmm.
and seen the church was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when she was crying, she was screaming, she was over there digging through the dirt, like, where's my church? Like, and then as she's literally in the middle of digging through the rubble trying to find her church, along comes a woman named
Mm-hmm.
Ethel.
That she don't know. She don't know. I don't think she remembered. I don't know if she
No, it's
remembered.
not that she could. It's not she didn't remember. She couldn't see because her eyes was like so full of tears. She couldn't see who it was.
Mm-hmm. But she was talking to her about the church and everything, and even about Herbie. And it was really a healing. I told y'all, my mom is the soothing. She's a soother. She came and soothed that situation. Only to find out, y'all, that while this is going on, somebody else been rustling, hustling. The sisterhood then it came to a boil. And they started arguing because I think she found out either that the hole in the wall, was it the hole in the wall or was it the house? I think it was the hole in the wall because she ended up making another hole in the wall at the new
Yeah.
house.
So
And
basically, Liz and Fanny moved in together, and Liz in her room started eating the wall again. And this time it got really bad. Like she was trying to cover it up with shoeboxes and stuff. And then when Fanny, like something happened to where Liz like locked herself in her room for like a long time. And by the time Fanny finally got in there, the whole wall was like gone. Like it was, you could see the beams.
Granny's like, listen, this is too much. I'm about to get up out of here. I'm calling some help for you because this is crazy. And Liz is like, no, you not. Bop. They hit her in the back of the head. And where did she even get a hammer from? I don't know. I don't even know what she's doing with a hammer in her room. When she hit Franny in the back of the head. And then she called 911 because she was going crazy. After she hit in the head, they did all get to the hospital and everybody went around Franny to make sure she was okay. Because baby, even I was holding my breath because I said, let me tell you something. If Franny dies, I know it's going to be a problem. I
Fanny's the
know
best
that
character in the
much.
book.
They get to the hospital, and I think they ended up taking Franny for a walk. And I think both of them in the hospital?
Herbie and Ethel, they was there Noon was there too. Herbie talked to Fanny about something. They got into it for a little bit. And then it was in that moment that he realized that Ethel was Fanny's mom because of the way she looked at
Mhm,
him. It was the same way Ethel would look at him sometimes. And so that's when he started putting two and two together. So
mhm.
they go for a walk. Um, at some point, Noon meets them and they sub out, and Ethel goes on her way and basically leaves them to be a family of four together. Basically, everybody gets a little happy ending, but Fanny never finds out that Ethel is her mom.
Even though she kinda started in the story having a little bit of contact, because she saw Ethel from afar and found out, "Oh, she's gonna be
Hmm.
here." She got a little contact with her, but of course, Ethel is never gonna tell, just like Ethel didn't tell him. It's not something that any of us know. The only people that know are Willie and Ethel.
And Herbie, once he figures it out.
My final thoughts in this book is that I absolutely love this book. My favorite character has to be Noon, like I told y'all, because of her growth. And when you see it in the book, because of course we went in depth, but we ain't go too much in depth because I kind of led this one. But I feel like her growth as a woman was just really beautiful to see. She was still honest, and I felt like and she was strong throughout the whole thing. She believed her kids when they told her something. Like she said, my baby said it was this, this is what it's gonna be. She was praying hard and it worked out for her in the end. She ended up loving her husband. And even though the church almost broke her, she didn't let it break her. And I feel like not the church didn't almost break her, but the church being broken down, that almost broke her. They still like, that's not gonna stop us. We still gonna be okay. And I think that this story was really good. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I don't have a favorite part of the book necessarily. And the only reason why I don't have a favorite part of the book is because I think I love the book so much. Now, I would say maybe the second half might be my more favorite part of the book. And it's just because you get to see everything that was set up in the first half of the book really be shine. But I really love how we get thoughtful characters throughout. We get well-developed characters throughout. We get to see Ethel is not a saint, but she's not fully bad. Just like Noon, I don't know what's going on with Noon as if they try to, I don't know if it's supposed to be she's not paying as the same, but like Noon has her challenges just as well as she's good. Everybody has their challenges as well as they have their strengths. And I really, really love that part of the book. To be honest, it hit a lot of historical moments and things that we could talk about. And I think that it did everything in a very, she was very descriptive, but also very tasteful, and also in a way that I feel like even though there are moments in here, how we said there's some trigger warnings, I think that the way that she did it, it's a lot. I ain't gonna hold y'all. I was about to say, like, you could still, no, it's a lot. You do need the trigger warning, but I do think that it was in a well-written way, and I do really like that. Will I read another book from her? We already put another book on the list because this lady, let me tell you something, is amazing. So I give this book, I'm trying to decide because she didn't do my girl Franny like that. But she definitely is a five-star writer. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. She's a writer that I genuinely really love. And that if the only thing I can say is that one little piece, that's the only thing I didn't like about the story. Come on now. It's not much else to say.
I absolutely loved and enjoyed this book. I took this book with me on vacation and I read it over the vacation. Like every chance I got, I was reading it because it was like it was just that good. So I would definitely say that this was an enjoyable book. I just love the way that she writes because it just feels so inviting and like you said, it's tasteful. Like it yes, there's some heavy themes, but it's not like you know how like some writers they be like, oh, it's a heavy theme, so I'm gonna just go all out with it and do the most with it. She didn't do that.
Mhm.
You got what you needed to know but it wasn't like super duper traumatizing. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed the book. I enjoyed everything about it. Like I said, Fanny and Ethel were my favorites, but I did like all the characters. And I gave this book a five. It deserved a five. It's not getting nothing less from me.
And that was our tumbling book swap, you guys. Make sure that you give this video a thumbs up if you have not already. Come on now. Comment some books that y'all might want to see us do. Make sure y'all go to Ronald's channel and watch his video and support him and subscribe to his channel. And you know, last but not least, come on, what you gotta do over here on this channel. You gotta
You gotta
subscribe.
subscribe to her channel.
So you could grow with your girl, so you could grow with your girl, so you could grow with your girl, break it down,